You have heard this story before. I know you have. Most people have. It travels fast, the way simple truths always do. Someone puts it on a greeting card. Someone posts it on the internet. A preacher uses it on Sunday. A therapist writes it on a whiteboard. And slowly, the story becomes wallpaper. You stop seeing it. You just walk past it every day. But I want to ask you something before I tell it again. When you heard that story, did anyone ever tell you how it ends? Not the part everyone knows, the other part, the part that changes everything. Sit with me a moment. I will start at the beginning. An old man was sitting with his grandson one evening by the fire. The boy had gotten into a fight at school that day. He was angry, ashamed, confused by his own feelings, the way young people get when they discover that darkness lives inside them, and nobody warned them it would. The grandfather looked at him for a long while. Then he said, "There is a fight going on inside me, inside every person who has ever lived. It is a fight between two wolves." The boy looked up. One wolf, the grandfather said, is darkness. He is anger, resentment, jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, lies, ego, the feeling that you are never enough and the world owes you something for it. The fire popped. Neither of them moved. The other wolf is light. He is joy, peace, love, hope, humility, kindness, empathy, truth, compassion, the quiet faith that things will be all right, even when they are not all right yet. The grandson thought about this for a moment. He could feel both wolves. He had felt them both that very day. Then he asked his grandfather, "Which wolf wins?" And the grandfather said, "The one you feed." The boy nodded slowly. He understood, or he thought he did. And that is where the story ends. That is where it always ends. But that is not where my grandfather ended it. I heard this story when I was 7 years old. My grandfather told it to me the same way, sitting by the fire, same words, same wolves, same question at the end. And then he kept going. I remember looking up at him, expecting silence, expecting that to be it. But he just kept looking at the fire, and after a long pause, he said, "But grandson, that is only part of the truth. And a man who knows only part of the truth is only half wise." I sat very still. He said, "The boy in the story asks which wolf wins. And the grandfather says, the one you feed." That is true. But the boy goes home satisfied with that answer. And he spends years feeding the good wolf and starving the bad one. And one day he is an old man, and he is sitting by his own fire. And the dark wolf, the one he starved his whole life, comes crawling back, thin, weak, but still there, still alive, still hungry. I said, "So the bad wolf never dies?" My grandfather shook his head slowly. "No," he said, "he does not die." And here's what the boy never learned, because nobody told him. A starving wolf is a dangerous wolf, more dangerous than a fed one. I did not understand that then. I was 7 years old. I did not understand it fully until I was much, much older, until I had lived enough life to see it happen, in myself and in the people around me. Let me tell you what a starving wolf does. When you refuse to look at your darkness, when you push it down, lock it away, pretend it is not there, it does not disappear. It waits. And while it waits, it changes shape. It gets clever. It learns to wear disguises. Anger becomes irritability. Just a short temper, you tell yourself. Just stress. Jealousy becomes criticism. You don't want what they have. You just think they don't deserve it. Fear becomes control. You're not afraid. You just like things done a certain way. Grief becomes numbness. You're fine. You're over it. You're just tired. The dark wolf does not leave when you stop feeding him. He just learns to eat what you leave out by accident. I have known men, good men, decent men, men who tried their whole lives to be kind and fair, who woke up one morning in their 70s and did not recognize themselves. They had spent 60 years feeding the good wolf. Church every Sunday, patient fathers, generous neighbors. And then one small thing happened. A slight, a disappointment, an injustice, something that scratched the surface just enough, and out it came, all of it. Everything they had pushed down for decades. Decades of unfed darkness pouring out at once. And they were blindsided because they thought they had won. They thought feeding the good wolf was the whole answer. It is not. My grandfather told me the third part of the story is this. The old man, the wise one, the grandfather in the story. He did not get wise by starving one wolf and feeding the other. He got wise by learning to sit with both wolves, by learning their names, by understanding what each one was actually asking for. Because here's something that took me a lifetime to understand. The dark wolf is not evil. He is wounded. Anger is not evil. Anger is a wounded thing that wants to be heard. Jealousy is not evil. Jealousy is a frightened thing that believes there is not enough love, not enough recognition, not enough time. Grief is not evil. Grief is love with nowhere to go. Every shadow inside you was once something else, something human, something understandable, something that got hurt and did not know how to heal. When you starve that wolf, you are not killing darkness. You are refusing to help something that is suffering. And suffering things, when ignored long enough, do desperate things. The third part of the story is not about feeding or starving. It is about understanding. Sit down with the dark wolf, not to give him power, not to let him run, but to look at him, to ask him, what are you really after? What happened to you? What do you need? You may be surprised by the answer. The wolf that looks like anger might actually be grief. And grief just wants to be honored. Give it a moment. Light a candle for it. Say the name of what you lost out loud. The anger may quiet on its own. The wolf that looks like resentment might actually be a boundary you never set, a thing you allowed for too long that you should have spoken up about 20 years ago. And it is not too late to speak. It is never too late to say, this is not all right with me. The wolf that looks like self-pity might actually be exhaustion, a body and a spirit that have been carrying too much for too long without anyone noticing. And that wolf does not need to be shamed into silence. He needs rest. He needs someone to say, you have carried enough. You are allowed to put it down. I am an old man. I have made peace with both wolves inside me. It did not happen all at once. It was not a single moment of clarity by a river or on a mountaintop. It was slow, quiet, years of sitting with myself honestly, years of catching the dark wolf in the middle of something and saying, "Wait, what is this really? What are you telling me?" There were things I carried for decades that I should have set down sooner. Anger at my father for leaving when I was young. Jealousy of men who seemed to have what I wanted. Fear that I was not enough, not wise enough, not strong enough, not good enough to be the grandfather, the elder, the one people came to. I fed the good wolf, yes, but I also, eventually, sat down with the bad one. And when I did, when I finally looked at him clearly and stopped being afraid of him, something unexpected happened. He got smaller. Not gone, not dead, but smaller, quieter, less urgent. Like a child who has been crying for attention, and finally someone sat down beside them and said, "I see you. I hear you. You are not alone." That is all most of our darkness wants. To be seen, to be heard, to not be alone. So the next time you feel something rising in you that you do not like, the anger, the envy, the bitterness, the fear, I want you to try something different than what you have always done. Don't push it down. Don't feed it either. Just sit with it. The way you would sit with a sick friend. The way you would sit with a grandchild who is having a hard day. With patience, without judgment. And ask it quietly, "What are you really?" You have lived long enough to do this. Long enough to know that running from things does not make them disappear. Long enough to know that the things we refuse to face have a way of following us, wearing different faces, knocking on different doors, until we finally stop and turn around. Turn around. The wolf behind you is not your enemy. He is a part of you. He has always been a part of you. And he deserves the same dignity you have spent a lifetime trying to give to everyone else. The boy in the story grew up believing he had the answer. Feed the good wolf, starve the bad one. Simple. But the old man, my grandfather's version of the old man, he knew the boy would have to learn the rest on his own, because some things cannot be taught, they can only be lived. By the time you understand the third part of the story, you have earned it. You have lived through enough winters to know that nothing inside you, not even the darkest thing, stays the same forever. Everything changes. Everything, given the right attention, can soften. Even the wolf. Even you. I still sit by the fire in the evenings. Both wolves sit with me. We have an understanding now, the three of us. I do not fight them. I do not choose between them. I just sit. I listen. And when one of them stirs, I ask, quietly, without fear, "What do you need tonight?" That is the whole story. That is the part nobody tells you. And now you know it.